Tom, we got to go on to a feature filmmaker. I'm sorry, but thank you for your question.
Hello.
Richard Boddington. Is it Boddington or Boddington?
Boddington.
All right, I was getting it right. I get a little worried. Okay, this is Richard Boddington, feature filmmaker, currently promoting Phoenix Wilder and the Great Elephant Adventure. A great, what would you call it, a family movie?
Family action adventure.
Family action adventure. That's pretty good. Okay. And you've also created Against the Wild, which has 2 installments. I guess that makes it a series. And The Dogfather. So a running theme here you got is animals. I assume. Well, let's just look at what you're promoting right now, Phoenix Wilder. What would you say? It's sort of anti-poacher.
Definitely, it's about a orphan boy travels to Africa, becomes lost in the wilderness, and while he is lost, he befriends a elephant, and the two of them team up to take down the elephant poachers.
Fair enough. So one thing that I guess a goal of a lot of filmmakers is trying to get an emotional attachment with their characters. And one of your things is a lot of the characters are animals. And one thing you also try to do is never do any CG nonsense. You try to work with the real thing.
100%.
Now let's just assume I'm insane. Convince me to like animals. Why? Because that's, I took a look at the film. That's just an issue that maybe a personal issue I have, but pitch to the audience listening why we need to care about animals.
Oh, you mean like animals in the wild?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, first off, we share this planet with, millions of different species of animals, and we are one of that, animal species that lives upon it. If we start exterminating all of them, then ultimately, what is our future? When will it be our time? You just think of a good case in point here, a very real thing that happens in North America. We have wetlands that act as giant sieves and strainers to take all the pollutants out of our drinking water.
Yeah.
Living in those wetlands are frogs. And frogs are a baseline species that when scientists start seeing deformities in frogs, missing legs, missing eyes, etc., they know that there is something wrong with the water supply. The very water supply that we humans are all drinking. Take a look at what happened in Flint, Michigan, when we start thinking that the water supply isn't important to keep it clean. So that's just one example of a thousand of how we are interconnected with the animals that we share this planet with. We really don't have any right to wipe them out. We certainly don't have a right to wipe out elephants purely for our vanity so that we can display their tusks carved up on a mantle.
Well, no, I don't. I'm in this weird place where I don't think that people should go out of their way to kill animals because it just seems like a waste of energy. And at the end of the day, tusks and ivory, it really, I don't know if we use that for anything scientific. I'm pretty sure it's, like you said, it's all vanity. But, for some people, it's hard for them when watching a movie. For a lot of people, it's hard to connect with an animal character. So I give you compliments for taking the challenge of trying to appeal to people who may not have that enjoyment for elephants or wolves or, any other animal that you worked with. Now, let's get to maybe a bit of your history. I hear a lot of guys in filmmaking, whether they've, are as accomplished as you or just starting, every single time I hear them say, oh, I've wanted to be a filmmaker my whole life. I always hear that spiel. And I just want to know, what did you want to do at 12?
Be a filmmaker.
Really? So
it's funny you should pick 12 because that's exactly the year I started with the Super 8.
Okay. And that was actually sort of my next question. I see a lot of Super 8 appeal. I see tons of guys, in the modern era, they're like, oh, I love Super 8. I want to try it. What is the appeal with Super 8? Is it exclusively nostalgic, or what elements does this stuff have?
Well, first off, when you were 12, it was the only format you could work with. In the early 1980s, there was no digital video editing.
Right.
So, you got to reel a film. It was 2.5 minutes at 18 FPS. I've still got all my Super 8 filmmaking equipment. I've got my editors. I've got my lights. I've got my cameras. I churned out an incredible number of Super 8 movies that were narrative films. It had a narrative that I then, post-productioned myself in my bedroom with the editor. They were all silent. I feel sorry for today's filmmakers, these kids with iPhones and home video cameras trying to also deal with writing scripts for actors as well when they're just starting out in film, because working in silent film is just a fantastic way to launch yourself into the film industry. So work with Super 8. The great thing about it was that you could cut it down to every 18th frame. Yeah. At that time, VHS was making its impact into the world, and the one thing you couldn't do with VHS unless you had a huge amount of money was edit it.
Right. Yeah.
You had to have this massive edit suite. You had to have at least 2 machines, which nobody could afford back then. I remember that only the super richest high schools here in Ontario had a VHS edit suite. You had these big controllers, and if you wanted to do a dissolve, you had to have a minimum of 3 machines.
Yeah, no, the technology's good now. No, how many films, just period, not even professional, amateur, whatever, how many films do you think you made before you got to the point of The Dogfather?
Well, first off, Dogfather wasn't my first feature. Dark Reprieve was my first feature film.
Okay.
And so, from all the Super 8 and the short films, before I dove into making Dark Reprieve, a friend and I were making short films on 35 millimeter. And people thought we were crazy. But my philosophy was that if we are eventually going to shoot a feature film on 35 millimeter, we should work with 35 millimeter in a short format and learn everything about it and learn how to work with it. And then we would spend $300 an hour, doing a beautiful transfer of that footage at Technicolor Toronto.
Yeah. Geez.
And again, people thought we were crazy because you could just do it all on video. So I've always been a big believer in the idea that, you should work in the format that you are ultimately going to work in, even though it's expensive. We bought short ends and we loaded them all into a Convas 1M, and we used that, and it worked great.
Okay. Could you give me a number?
Probably at least 30, 40, somewhere in there.
Including all the Super 8, everything?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, film, you got to get it developed. You can't, you can't just throw it into a computer. In those days, do you see the modern student filmmaker now who has access to a camera in their pocket, who has access to a $300 DSLR and a nonlinear editor, and when you see them and they're like, "Oh, I can't find inspiration," do you? For me personally, I look down on that. Do you also feel an incredible amount of disappointment when you see stuff like that?
I think that they, on the one hand, I feel bad for them because the one thing that film does is it disciplines the filmmaker. If you look at any shooting film and any shooting video, the number of takes for the guys shooting video is going to always be way higher than the guys shooting film.
Yeah.
Just simple fact. The people shooting film spend a lot more time, a lot more care. They rehearse more. They really do what they can do to get it right, because every time you pull that trigger, you are flushing money right down the drain. Video, it's basically free. Outside of, the actual acquisition into the camera, it doesn't cost you anything. So you end up with all these takes, and you end up, frankly, I don't think with the very best quality that you could get. Just feel bad for all the young filmmakers that are never going to have the experience of working with film, because film is fantastic. It does, put an incredible amount of discipline on you as a filmmaker.
Was this Phoenix Wilder picture, was this film or digital?
It was all shot on the Arri Alexa.
Good camera. Okay.
And I've used it on 3 shoots now. I do love the camera a lot. Almost embarrassingly, I shoot all my movies on one lens. We shot the whole movie on Panavision lenses this last time. The first time I'd used Panavision because they were interested in what I was doing. I had not a blockbuster budget, but they said, we want to support you anyway because of the subject matter.
Right.
And my DP and I shot 98% of the movie with the zoom lens.
Do you ever feel that you're losing out on a certain sense of crispness without using primes?
No.
Okay, fair enough.
No, I like the speed of it, and I also like when I say speed, I mean not having to stop and make endless lens changes, which take forever.
Right.
And I also like the narrow depth of field. Even shooting indoors with dialogue scenes, we use that lens. And yeah, people think I'm crazy, but I just like the look of that lens. And it was Panavision's best zoom.
Well, you know what they say, name one genius that ain't crazy, right? Kanye West said that. I think that's great. I think that's genius right there.
And the other thing is I had a Steadicam and I had a love affair and we're now divorced.
Okay, why?
Well, I just found that that the dolly track gives all the shots a much more epic feel.
Okay.
The Steadicam feels like it's floating around. It never actually, locks into anything. And I'm also the editor on all my films. And I discovered to my horror that editing scenes shot on Steadicam is a nightmare, an absolute nightmare. So while I used the Steadicam quite a number of times on Against the Wild 2, I didn't really like what I got. I went back to South Africa for Phoenix Wilder, and I said to the DP, we're not going to use any Steadicam. We're going to shoot everything on track, lots of track. Like everywhere we go, we're going to lay track. So the camera's always flowing, always fluid, even a little bit, even very slow, just so it has that feel to it. And I was much happier with the result.
And you also utilized, I guess, a combination of the Alexa's great color science, and you had a lot of good, with Phoenix Wilder, there were a lot of very nice orange and green tones. It really gave you the nice warm feeling of South Africa.
Every filmmaker, I think, has a favorite color in film, and mine is gold.
Gold. Okay, yeah. Gold's nice.
The shot can't be gold enough, like yellowy gold, and that's why, there's a very specific time period where if I'm shooting on the Bushveld that I will go, because it has to be, that crisp yellowy orange feel, because part of the year it's green. And I just keep saying to people, if I want green, I could stay here and shoot in the Northeast. It's always green in the summer and spring.
Right.
What's unique to Africa is that beautiful golden grass. So that's why I like shooting during that, during that time period. I just think it looks, very, very nice. And I grew up with a very, very romanticized view of Africa in film. My production designer's always getting on me saying, in modern Africa, we don't drive these vehicles anymore. It's ridiculous. I say, yeah, but, these old Range Rovers, Land Rovers, they have such character. Let's put them on screen. I don't want modern vehicles.
I was about to say, no, I saw that, and it reminded me of a couple of video games that where I think it was, oh God, I don't even remember. It began with an F. I can't. But no, yeah, I did notice that. But to me, it didn't really seem, because again, I've been in North America my entire life. I believed that, maybe in South Africa they could still be driving that. Because I assume, would you say your majority audience is North American?
Yeah, I mean, the movie does, cater to a North American audience, but also last three films had incredible success penetrating the world market, Western Europe. And I'm always amazed when I get sales reports and see, that it's been sold in Indonesia, it's been sold in Haiti and all sorts of other little places. The actual themes in the movies are universal.
An old Hollywood adage that I was told when I did film study in, high school was never work with animals or children because it'll always upstage you. And you work with both every single time. So what I'm trying to, is this something that you just happened to do once and then you got like a good deal for it and then you just stuck with it and fell in that niche? Or is this something that you set out to do, that you always want to do films with animals and children?
I love the format.
Okay.
And that phrase, "don't never work with kids and animals," has been around as long as movies. And I've been asked 100 times, you do both in every film, and that seems kind of bizarre. Let me say this. I've never once had a situation where a kid or an animal has brought the script to me and said, "Richard, I have issues with this scene right here. I want to rewrite."
Right. No, that makes sense.
Certainly had that happen many a time with adult actors.
Oh, yeah, no. Well, I mean, with kids, there are certain things they may not have developed or they may not know. What's the biggest issue or obstacle that you ran into when working with a child actor?
Well, kids are natural actors, as any director will tell you. They bring that naturally to the table, and I've been very lucky because the kids that I've had are just they've all been wonderfully well trained. Their credits are just amazing by the time I get them. The girl who was in Against the Wild 2, she had already been in Les Mis for 6 months,
right?
Prior to her landing on my set. Now, what do you do that's bigger as an actor than be in Les Mis, right?
Not a lot.
Yeah. So I've had these kids that are just terrific. They've all been fantastic. I was very proud to have C.J. Adams in Against the Wild. He had just finished The Odd Life of Timothy Green. He was the star of The Odd Life of Timothy Green. Everybody said to me, "You will never get him. Everybody in Hollywood is chasing him right now," and I got him no problem.
Do you ever see these people again? Like after you do it, do you ever see these people again? You're like, "Hey, remember when you told me that?"
Yes.
Good. Good.
I keep in contact with all the kids from all my films. I'm friends with all of them on Facebook. I hear from them all on a regular basis. I've written many letters for them, given out many references for them, and I've made it a point to always be in touch with them and to take a very active interest in their careers. A lot of child actors, sometimes them being in the business, they have a bad rep. All the group that I've had, they all have an excellent parenting team behind them. None of them have ever been in any trouble. Right. The young man who plays Phoenix Wilder, Sam Ash Arnold, he's going. I think we're looking at the next big export from Canada here. He's the next Ryan Gosling, the next Ryan Reynolds. He has everything. He has the look. He has the determination. He has the skills. And he has a instinct for acting that can't be taught. I don't know.
Well, next Ryan Gosling, he's got to get on Mickey Mouse Club first. He's got to go through the ranks, man. He's got to go in. No, but Sam Ash, I got a notification from him on Twitter when I put up the I was interviewing you. I think he retweeted it or something, yeah. And then he's saying some bad things about you, but I'll gloss over that. But But no, it's cool to be the farming system of the next generation of Hollywood talent. That's not a lot of people can say they do that. One thing I'm trying to figure out, and this is not the billion, but the $zillion question for every filmmaker, is one note on, I guess this is on your Wikipedia, the Dogfather, that was, or I guess your first two features, were those funded out of your own pocket?
Dark Reprieve was self-funded.
Okay.
And that was shot on 35 millimeter 4-perf. And The Dogfather was a very expensive movie, actually, and that was definitely not funded by me. I was the producer on it, and I did pull the financing package together, but that was financed by a private equity group in the United States. And in Canada, we use a very unique combination of government grants and government tax credits that are generally not available to U.S. filmmakers. Mm-hmm. For instance, we have an organization in here called Telefilm. And Telefilm's mandate is to put actual cash equity into Canadian films. So if you need $1 million, $2 million, $3 million, $4 million for your movie, you can go there and they will actually physically give you that money. And they are a big funder in Canada. We also have a very extensive tax credit system, which is very reliable, which is a refund on the labor component of your movie. We also do something that's unique that doesn't happen in the United States, and that is what's called a co-production. The United States is not a signatory with any co-pro nation, with any other country on co-pros, but Canada has signed about 50 different co-pro agreements with different countries, South Africa being one of them. And what that allows you to do is to use the government financing for your movie in both countries. Both countries will make a financial contribution to the production. So that allows me as a Canadian filmmaker to be a Canadian, reside in Canada, shoot in South Africa and have South African funding from their system brought into the project, which we have done successfully on 2 projects now. If I was American, there'd be no way for me to access this because South Africa doesn't have a co-pro treaty with the United States. They have one with Canada. And what happens in the co-pro is that all of the key creatives for the 2 countries are treated as if they were citizens of the other country. So, for instance, on this last film in South Africa, I had a South African production designer and a South African composer. And they go into the structure as if they were Canadian. It's a great system. And the reason that, and this happens all over the globe, like outside of the United States, this is how films are made. The rest of the world doesn't have the equivalent of a Hollywood.
So America is very capitalist with the film industry thing, and we have a little more, I guess, socialist tendencies for filmmaking outside of the U.S.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, movies get made in Canada that no Hollywood executive would even touch with a 1,000-foot pole. They would say, this is the most uncommercial thing I've ever heard of. Get out of my office. In Canada, you know, a director can go to Telefilm and say, well, I have this movie. It's not commercial, but, you know, I think it has value. And Telefilm will say, okay, we'll finance that. It'll get made. It might not be a box office blockbuster. It'll do festivals and that sort of stuff. But again, this sort of talk is somewhat heretical to certain people in the United States, in politics and in Hollywood. But in France, the UK, Australia, Canada, the idea of government funding movie is completely normal and accepted.
So, so at no point, because I noticed this when people talk about how American taxes, like people complain about like American taxes going to like a military, for instance. In Canada, is there ever like a healthcare issue? And then some guys like, well, maybe if we didn't give millions of dollars to these stupid movies, does anyone ever say that?
Oh, totally.
Okay,
all
good.
the time.
All right, just making sure.
All the time. You know, yeah, I mean, you know, absolutely. And you know what? They might have even a valid point.
Right. Yeah, no.
I guess, you know, the philosophy of government here has always been that, you know, it's not always about one thing. You got to spread the money around. Yeah. Now, if you look for just, you know, as a comparison, the healthcare budget, because we have, you know, government-run healthcare here, yeah. The healthcare budget for the province of Ontario per year is $50 billion. Okay, that's $50 billion with a B per year. The Telefilm budget for 1 year for all of Canada, okay, for all 10 provinces, is only $130 million.
Oh, that's fair. Okay, yeah.
Okay, no. So when you compare just the healthcare budget of one province to the filmmaking budget for the entire country, there's no comparison.
But it's you know, I guess it's at the end of the day, it's still an easy jab for guys on Facebook. You know, yeah, no.
Totally.
But
yeah, you know,
do you get it personally? Does someone like come to you and they're like, "Wow, we could have saved this child, but we funded your dumb movie"? Like, does anyone ever say that to you?
Not directly, but the industry does get those comments.
Okay.
You know, but I mean, of course, this sort of thing is done in the United States all the time too. I mean, American farmers receive billions in subsidies every year. Defense contractors receive subsidies. Certainly, the energy industry in the United States receives billions in subsidies. So the United States plays a subsidy game the same as other countries. It's just that the United States has chosen that film is not one of those things where money's going to go to.
So, okay, so we have the budgeting covered. So we have how the money goes into this project. Now I want to cover how money comes back to these projects.
Right.
So let's say you're trying to get a distribution deal for, I guess, Against the Wild 1. What was the process? Did you go to a festival and then what company, or at least in America, what company picked you up?
Okay, so that was picked up by Lionsgate.
Okay.
Which it was Anchor Bay, but now Lionsgate. It was an absolutely massive hit for them. They did millions of dollars on. They did a direct to DVD and VOD release. Mm-hmm. They partnered with Walmart. That was a huge Walmart promotion. The poster for the movie was put at the front of every Walmart store in America for 2 weeks as you walked into the store. This sort of thing, you know, typically never happens for a low-budget independent movie.
Well, I think we went a little fast here. All right, let me put it like this. So you put it into a festival.
No.
There was no. Oh, you just went straight to Lionsgate?
Yeah, I mean, I have, direct contacts all around Hollywood with different buyers.
So it's not this fantasy that a lot of filmmakers think it is, where they submit to a festival and then the studios come clamoring to them. It's not like that at all.
I mean, that does happen, obviously, at Sundance.
Right.
It happens rarely everywhere else. I'll get in trouble for saying this, but I think festivals are absolutely the biggest waste of time and money on the planet.
They might be.
Yeah,
It's very, with the exception of maybe a couple, which is still, you need to have a very big movie to even be accepted into something like Sundance. It's very, how do I put this? It's so politics driven, just like the Oscars. It's all very politics driven. It's all very local driven. So if it's in Texas or something like that, and they say we'll take everyone, they're going to give it to the guy in Texas no matter what. Yeah, no. So I understand what you're saying.
For commercial filmmakers like myself, the festivals have no value. So I do not waste my time with them. I do not waste time filling out forms, do not waste time sending in money. I have enough, connections through my agents in LA that when a movie is done, what happens is the agency, and this is how Against the Wild was sold, I can tell you exactly. I have an agent in Los Angeles at Paradigm, which is one of the big 5 agencies. What they do is they take it and they contact all the buyers in Los Angeles because they know them all. And what they do is they set up a time with the executives to screen the movie at their offices. And what happens is the driver will drop the DVD off at, say, 1 p.m. and pick it up again at 3 p.m. And the executives have a 2-hour window to watch the movie in their offices. It does not. They don't allow it to sit there, because then you're just chasing these executives for 2-3 weeks trying to get an answer out of them.
Yeah.
So they watch the movie, and then literally, 30 minutes after they watch it, they will call the agency and say, it's a pass for us, or we're interested and we're formulating an offer. So typically, one of my films might generate 4 or 5 different offers from various buyers, and then I'll work with my agents to sort out and take typically the highest offer and the best structured offer in terms of what they're offering for the distribution plan.
So you would say your agents have been essential in moving your career forward?
They're very helpful.
Okay.
They can open doors that the filmmaker cannot. Typically, the buyers do not want to talk directly to a filmmaker.
Right. Yeah. No, I definitely understand that. Lots of emotional involvement with that. But
Exactly.
put it this way, these agents that you have in LA, what was the process? Did they see something you put out and they came to you, or did you have to knock on every door?
No, I was initially, casting from there, and I said, can you guys work with me on the film sales side? And they said, yeah, sure.
Okay, that makes sense. So one has to already have the money to go through an agency to also get help from these agencies. That makes sense. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's a money-driven industry. The agents don't want to rep something that won't sell. If they don't make any sales, they don't make any money. They want to get out there and sell, commercial product that they know that the buyers will put money down for and advance money and commit to. This is where, your art house fringe type movies would struggle in this space. There is definitely 100% in North America and around the world, in fact, a huge disconnect between the movies that are celebrated at festivals and the movies that do millions of dollars worth of units on DVD. There's a huge disconnect there. It's because this general, public that wants entertainment, they don't attend festivals. There's a very select audience that actually goes to a film festival. And I'm not knocking those films whatsoever. They are just a different type of film, and it's not the type of film that I make. Are people going to criticize me and say your movies have, sweeping vistas, nice children, beautiful actors, beautiful animals, it's a nice story, it's got, fantasy elements, actually, are you checking well, sure. I don't make any apologies for being a commercial filmmaker.
Right.
But that's also why I think, my movies even though I'm working with nowhere near a Hollywood budget, still have very good market penetration.
So let's follow the money trail here. So you get funding from the Canadian government, and with this funding, you are now able to now have the capital to go to the industries, not industries, the agencies. And the agencies are what help sell your movie. So in a roundabout way, technically, it all comes back to the Canadian government putting you on in a way. Would you say?
Okay, so the Canadian government funding is never 100% of your budget.
Okay.
Okay, so for instance, the tax credit portion is going to look like at about 33 to 34%. Mm-hmm. Okay, then you may have a regional grant that may add another, 33, 40%. And then you're going to be into getting some equity someplace. And typically for me, that's European international pre-sales. I have very good partners in Europe, and they will put physical cash money in. And then here comes the kicker for would-be producers. All of this has to be cash flowed by a bank. So you will not only be chasing down these deals, but you also have to have an amazing relationship with a bank that has a film lending program. And you're going to take your tax credit estimates, your foreign pre-sales, your contracts, everything that you've got to the bank, and essentially they're going to cash flow all your paperwork, all of your receivables until the film is done and delivered, and those items start to pay out, because the tax credits and the grants and stuff here don't pay you until the movie is complete and the cost report is audited and submitted.
So they need a finished product before you start seeing the money.
Yes.
Okay.
But I've used the bank's money as an interim financer. So let's say I have $1.5 million in financing. The bank is basically going to set up a loan for you of $1.5 million. And as you make the movie, you'll draw that down weekly and fund the film and fund your post. Then you wrap it up, and then there's a process of making the final applications to get the money released, and that money goes to the bank, not to you. And that's, and I mean, I'm incredibly oversimplifying it, but just to give you an idea, on this last production required 4 different sets of lawyers, 2 in South Africa and 2 sets in Toronto, and all working for their various, people that they're working for. And then you've got a $1.5 million movie being hit with a legal bill of about $70,000 to $80,000.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. And so you think to yourself, you got $1.5 million, you haven't shot a frame of video yet, but you just blew $70,000 on lawyers.
You better hope it's good. You better hope it's a good movie.
That is the reality of what's required.
Yeah, no, it's we get a few, I guess, student filmmakers or amateur / indie filmmakers, and they're always asking about like cameras or whatever. These sorts of questions and answers I never see circulating, and that's very concerning.
As I've told many would-be directors, you want to be a director, be a producer. Then you're guaranteed to be a director.
Yeah, no,
guaranteed.
Because you got the money, you call the shots.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. You if you've raised the budget and you have a relationship with the distributors, the banks, and you say, who should direct the movie? Guess what? I am. All opposed, raise your hand. Oh, nobody. I guess it's me. So, it's such an incredible amount of work. And, it takes me a year to pull a budget together. That's the reality. Okay? Mm-hmm. It takes me a year to pull a budget together, get it all set up with the bank, get everybody comfortable, get everything in place. I mean, and we're talking about, numerous government certificates that have to be issued during this process from 2 different countries. It's a very extensive process. Most people that want to make movies and say action and cut on set simply wouldn't want to go through it. They just wouldn't. The only reason I go through it is because I know that eventually I'll be sitting on set making my amazing elephant film. And that to me is the payoff. If it wasn't for that, then I wouldn't do it. I'd be crazy to.
Let's move a little bit out of budgets here. So in addition to Sam Ash Arnold. In addition to that, you had Elizabeth Hurley star in your film. Yeah. And so what was the process for that? Was it as simple as just throwing the script to the agent, she liked the subject matter, and she was like, yeah, I'm on?
Oh, how I wish. One of the questions I get asked a lot is, how do you get a movie star into your movie?
Yep.
And I hear young filmmakers, would-be filmmakers telling me all the time, they give me these incredible cast lists of all these people they think they're going to get. And I don't want to laugh out loud at them because that would be mean. But when it comes to getting the lead actors, I do it myself. A lot of filmmakers will use casting directors and that sort of thing. When it comes to the lead actors, I do it all myself. I direct the agent myself. I do all the negotiation myself. I handle all the emails myself. There's a number of reasons why I do this, primarily for speed. I don't want emails flowing through a casting director in LA that I then have to get, respond to, go back to her, and then back to the agent and back and forth. I mean, otherwise, a 1-week negotiation actually ends up being 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So I like the fact of doing it myself. I'm also a huge believer in this idea of you learn to do by doing. So I've become very good at dealing with the agents, the lawyers, and the layers of people that surround stars, and learning how to work with them at the different agencies. So a basic process, you have an IMDb Pro account. No producer can survive for more than 5 minutes without one. You look up the star, you look up their management. There's one agency in Hollywood that I will not deal with. I will not mention who they are on the air.
No, do it. Come on.
There's one that I simply won't work with. If I see that the talent is represented by them, I go back to my people and say we're passing right now because they're impossible. So I see who the agent is. I formulate a probing email. I don't send an offer script first. I'll send the agent an offer saying who I am, what my project is, what my dates are, what it's about. What is your client's availability? That's rule number one, is to get into that. If the actor is booked on a shoot for the next 6 months, there's no point in going any further. I try and get a response from the agent. A lot of times the agents will ignore emails. Might take a couple times to sort of bug them and say, I really need to know about this. And then you'll get an email back saying, yes, my client's available. Please make a written offer. They will not do anything without a written offer attached. And that means one thing: the money. That's what they want to see.
Is that sort of the scary part? Is where you're afraid you're highballing and you're afraid you're afraid to, I guess, lowball essentially, because then if you lowball, they're just never going to respond to you again.
The budget will dictate where you can land.
Okay, so
that's all you can do. And I'm a big believer in, if you're going after Tom Cruise and you have $50,000, do it.
I don't know if he'd work for $50,000.
You know what? If you just, here's somebody who has more money than he can spend in 900 lifetimes. Okay, what if you only need him for a couple days? And what if you happen to know that he just loves this material or be very interested in it?
Well, put it this way, I'm assuming that their management would pass along the script to Tom.
They may or may not.
So, but the money that you put up, that's exclusively going to dictate whether they actually hand that script over or not, correct?
Possibly. This is it. You just don't know. Some actors say to their management, "Send me everything. I want to see it all." And some actors say, only send me stuff that I'm specifically looking for in a certain price range. You get the gambit. The fact is, you don't know.
Okay.
And so, yes, my example is a bit extreme. Okay. All I'm saying is that in Hollywood, you've already got to know. An email costs nothing to send it in to CAA. I'm pretty sure he's with CAA. You send the offer, and you'll probably get an email back saying, this is not something he'd be interested in, or what you probably will. But you don't know. And I always tell people, start at the very top of who you want to go for. Because what if that person at the top actually said yes?
let's say it's a no, right? So
Yeah.
I send an email. Is the whole process to get a no a week?
It could be within 5 minutes. I've literally sent agents an email, and they were sitting at their computer, and I got an email back in less than 30 seconds saying, they're too busy tied up with their series. They wouldn't be interested. Thanks. Goodbye.
Cool. Okay.
And that's fine. That's totally fine. So, I would contact the actor's agent, do a probing email, introduce myself, very brief. They'll say make an offer. At that point, I will attach the script, and I will attach my one-page offer sheet, which lays out the dates to and from that I need that actor, the amount of money that I can offer that actor, and the screen credit that I can offer that actor. Those are the three main points that any agent wants to see and any actor wants to see. I'll fire those two documents in, and then I'll wait.
Do you ever get a counteroffer for hire?
Every single time. That's guaranteed.
Okay.
That's 100% guaranteed. That is, there's no question that will happen. And sometimes that number could be way more than you could possibly, pay.
Right.
One thing I have to point out is that no one should be making any offers to actors until your financing is 100% locked down and secured. I have seen so many filmmakers make offers to actors. They have no financing lined up, and what they're trying to do is say, well, I have this actor, and then go out and find money. That should not be done. And in fact, the very first question the agent will ask you every single time is this project financed? That's the first question they'll ask you.
Yeah, because this is the issue with, I guess, reading the stories of the start, because the big, I guess the big Tarantino story with Reservoir Dogs, which was his first feature, was he had the Harvey Keitel guy. And then he was like, oh, I can get funding now. But a lot of people see that, but they don't realize that that's not necessarily a normal occurrence.
No.
Yeah. So.
No, if the agents did that for every single offer that comes in, every actor would literally have 50 offers stacked up on their desk without an exaggeration.
They got to manage it. They got to keep it streamlined,
Exactly. They have to be, and so in my case, it's a lot easier. I have 5 features under my belt. So when I'm emailing an actor, their management, and saying, here's my offer, they're going to speed check me on IMDb and look at my producing background, and they'll see that I've put, projects on the screen. And some of them come back to you and get very detailed. They say, well, I want to know how it's being financed. Many will ask, what is the distribution plan? Because the one thing the actors hate is, even though they got paid to be in the movie, they hate the fact that the movie either doesn't get seen anywhere, or it never gets any distribution. So that's a concern for actors too. They do not want to be embarrassed and have the trade say, well, the movie ended up in the nowhere, went into the 99-cent bin at Walmart. They hate that. So it's their name. They want to protect it. So I may have to answer questions about, what distribution I have lined up. I'll also have to answer questions about what other cast members I have lined up or I'm going out to, things like that. A first-time director is going to be grilled over, well, I see this is your first time, or the casting director is going to say, oh, it's his first time. What has he done? Music videos, commercials, episodic TV, something. What? They're going to want to know all that. So it's never a simple process. It has always been very challenging, long hours, dealing with the agents and the lawyers who represent the stars. The one thing that many would-be filmmakers are loath to do is to get themselves an attorney. They hate spending money on it. The fact is, you cannot produce movies without an entertainment lawyer working for you. It just cannot be done. It cannot be done. When that paperwork, it's your responsibility to generate the contract for the actor. That contract has to be fully compliant with the long list of SAG rules and regulations. You need an entertainment lawyer that has experience in doing this, putting this all together. And if you don't, and if you send in paperwork that looks like it came from the, Chuck E. Cheese mouse factory, you're not going to be taken seriously. They're going to say this guy is a joke.
Yeah, send a contract in crayon.
Yeah.
I'll go for that. I would read it. I'd entertain that. I'd be like, hey, well, this is balls. Contract in crayon. He's challenging me.
Well, it's just a reality that you need a layer of professionals around you.
Definitely.
You need a group of you need a professional accounting firm on a film. It's especially tight. What we do is because the government is making its tax credit contributions based on that auditing. And that auditing has to be done rock solid, and it has to be done by top professionals that the government trusts. They sure as hell are not going to let a producer submit a cost report. That will never happen.
So we've covered the making. We've covered what goes into now it's out. Now it's been distributed. Now it's on the poster at Walmart for 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
All that. So you doing family movies, and I notice this from time to time. Do you as a filmmaker ever feel that you get written off critically for doing family/kids movies?
Oh, totally.
And I mean, how do you feel about it? Do you ever feel like, maybe one day I'm going to change it up and I'm going to try a different film to see if I could do it, or how do you feel about it?
No, I don't give a damn about their opinions. I'm not making films for critics. I'm making them for myself, and and for audiences to enjoy.
Well, is making them for money go without saying? I mean, like, let's say if you made a picture and no distribution, no money, I mean, would you have to stop?
Yeah.
So would you correct that answer to money and yourself?
Yeah. Well, I mean, when I say for myself, I mean, I have to be passionate about it is what I mean.
Okay.
And, I was passionate about the Phoenix Wilder script. And about making that project. Certainly no Hollywood studio would have touched that movie with a 1,000-foot pole. They'd say, it's insane. We're not going to make this movie. Only an independent filmmaker working autonomously outside the studio could have got that film made. So, I mean, I pride myself on the fact that I don't think Lucas, Spielberg, or Cameron would have made that movie because, they just, I don't think would have had the patience or the experience to say, wow, one of our cast members weighs 5 tons. And doesn't always hit his mark. Gee.
Well, I mean, what was when it came to stuff with elephants? What was the take ratio? You'd say
it's very low. It's
really?
very low for 2 reasons. Number one, there's no animal on the planet smarter than an elephant.
Okay.
The things that I've seen firsthand. I've spent a lot of time with them in Africa, a lot, and the things that I have seen with my own 2 eyes. Amaze me. I just can't understand how this animal could be that intelligent. They certainly blow a dog right off the charts in the IQ category.
Well, they have big brains, right?
Largest brain of any land animal. All the actions that you see the elephant do in the movie is 100% in camera. There's no CG. There's no, there's some very complex actions that the elephants are doing in that film. The boy is sitting on the elephant, and the elephant's being told to, swing his head and disarm a guy. Take the gun off him. Does it? You might have seen the part where the boy has that stick that is shaped like a gun, and he trains the elephant of what a gun is and why it's dangerous.
Yeah.
And the final shot is he throws that stick down on the ground, and the elephant walks forward and steps on it with both feet and crushes it. So I said to our lead elephant trainer, I said, "Oh, gee, what are we going to do here?" He said, "Oh, no problem. Give me 10 minutes. Just give me 10 minutes." We came back 10 minutes later, and he had already trained the elephant to walk forward and step on the gun on cue and crush it. There's a very powerful thought process going on inside an elephant's brain. And which makes it even more tragic that they're being, systematically exterminated from the planet. It's not like we're killing mackerel here. We're killing a very advanced, high intelligence animal that we're just still scratching the surface on understanding their society and how they do the things that they do. There's a scene in the movie where the elephant comes around a corner from a bush. He grabs the chain that's keeping the boy captive in the shed. He breaks the chain. The boy leaves the frame with him. That was all one take in camera. Unfortunately, I had to break it up in the edit into different pieces. But I have footage that I could show you saying, look, you watch the elephant do the entire action in one take without stopping. Now, how does an animal do that?
You hit it a lot. No,
yeah.
I mean, I don't know what goes into training those things. If the animal can do it in one take, there's a lot of humans that can't do anything in one take. Because there's, I mean, part of it might be so much second guessing and so much what's the word for it? I guess self-conscious or insecurities that a person may feel that animals are not capable of feeling. So maybe it's that which is what halts up humans as opposed to animal talent, if we could call it that.
One rule I quickly developed making animal-centric movies is that there's no rehearsal. Always shoot the rehearsal.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. You always leave it rolling. Yeah, yeah.
Yes,
No,
because animals will do a perfect take in rehearsal, and then never again.
yeah. No,
and so that is, that's the one advantage of working with digital and animals. There are scenes like where the boy is with the baby elephant. We just let the camera free roll. And we grabbed, all those magic moments. And I can't, you can't give the baby elephant instructions. And I just tell, Sam, Ash, Arnold, look, I have no idea what's going to happen here. Just react. Okay. Just react. Just play with her. And we can just free roll the camera and, slice it up in post. So in that particular sense, digital is very practical for things like that. But working with the elephants, not only do they not need many takes, but they would not have worked well with Stanley Kubrick. I can tell you that.
93 take man. Yeah. No,
by the time Stanley Kubrick had told the elephant, I need to do a 50th take, the elephant would have gored him to death with a tusk. So,
well, you're not making a good case for the elephants. You're making them seem violent and evil. I don't know if we need to keep them around.
Up to 50 takes, he would have been justified.
All right. Well, extra takes. That's like ice cream scoops out of your life. Yeah, no.
2-3 times. That's what they like.
Okay. So there's a lot of moving parts that go into this, a lot of intricacies, and getting back to the critics, and we've sort of entered this era, especially age of YouTube, social media, where anybody can just upload anybody can attempt to be a critic. Have you experienced this era of critics who think they're filmmakers? Have you caught wind of stuff like this?
Yes, and I have a very simple solution for all of them.
Yeah.
It says comments disabled for this video.
On their video or your video, or what do you say?
On mine.
Okay. Because this is sort of where people thought that the internet and digital technology, this would be, people thought that this could potentially be great for filmmaking in the sense of now we have people who are at least trying it, who are really trying and all that, but the result we've gotten are people who, and a filmmaker in your position who, makes movies that would be, direct to DVD, although this does have a theatrical release, and we'll talk about that later. Yep. They sort of prey on guys like you. They, productions like yours where they try to look for a movie that may not have, the $90 million or the $100 million, only has $5 million. And they'll constantly just be like, oh, this movie is terrible. No merit, no merit, no merit. It's very interesting how the internet could have been very productive, but if it's resulted in being very destructive to both itself and the traditional formats. And so I'm just, how do you feel about that? Have you ever seen one of these movie reviewers make, a fatalistic, nerd reductionist thing of one of your pictures?
Oh, totally. People rip on my stuff nonstop online. Nonstop.
And what is the most common criticism you hear that's completely baseless?
The silliest comment that I hear is like this: I'm an adult and I did not enjoy this movie. But there's one even above that silly comment is, my kids love this movie, but I hated it.
This is okay. This is a point that I try to make to guys, and because I mean, okay, so you'll be doing movies which are obviously for younger audiences, and I'll talk to a lot of guys who don't make movies, but then sometimes guys who are in production, but they're like animators, and obviously animators are going to be delegated to making children's content. And they always seem to fight for this argument that the movie should be made for everyone. Everything, they try to act like children and adults must be the same audience. And I personally have always found that very ridiculous. But you are someone who produces these things, and you also feel that you know the audience that you're doing this stuff for.
Totally. I mean, people ask me, well, do you have people like come in and watch your movies and tell you, if it's good or how to like the edit? I say, yeah, it's the neighborhood 10-year-old kids. And I'm not exaggerating. I have when I was cutting Phoenix Wilder, I have a 10-year-old boy in the house. He has a lot of friends. They're always over here. And they come in, they say, hey, Richard, what you doing? Are you working on a new movie? I say, yeah. I say, boys, all you come over here and watch the monitor for a few minutes. Come over here. And I'll show them all, without any introduction, a cut scene.
Yeah.
And I sit back in my chair in my edit suite, and I just watch their faces, because their faces won't lie.
Oh, hold up. You got kids coming over to your you know these kids? What's going on here, Richard?
Oh, well, they're all my son's friends.
Okay, all right. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if this might have been an incriminating interview, but you saved it. All right. All right.
So they'll come over, the neighborhood boys, as they're here playing with him, my son. And, I just, did you guys like it? I want, if there's something funny in it, did the jokes land? Did they laugh?
Yeah.
Are they liking it? Are they yawning?
Yeah, no.
That's a far better test audience than, the film critic for the Boston Globe.
It's not even for the Boston Globe at this point. It's just like 25-year-old guy with long hair who's like miserable, who tries to hate everything, because it's very interesting. Do you what's it called when you see these? Have you ever actually like interacted with any of these guys, or do you just see it and you're like, oh, it's stupid?
No, I mean, a lot of them will not review family product, period.
Yeah.
Because they feel that they have a mandate to be edgy, which I think is silly. When I hear people talk like that, I say, well, what, you don't think kids watch movies? You don't think there's any co-viewing anymore? You don't think whole families go to movies? Clearly they do.
Yeah.
So, if you're going to sit there and say, I'm only going to review movies for cynical 19 to 35-year-olds, well, I feel sorry for you, because that's only one sector of the audience.
Yeah, that's well, it's still, at the end of the day, it's a very small sector, but it's vocal because they're the ones that have the time to sit in front of their iMac and cut together some dumb stuff. I get it. What's it called? I'm a guy who, I'm on the internet making content a lot, and I have to constantly deal with these guys and fans of these guys. And it's ridiculous how the one thing that always reveals is how little they actually know about making movies. Mm-hmm. In the sense of, or how little someone understands just cinematography. And what I've noticed, and I don't know if you've noticed this, but people who try to act like they're movie buffs or try to act like they know about movies but have never actually made movies, this one thing with cinematography where they don't understand that the entire feature is cinematography. Cinematography to them is just the shots that they think are good. That's what they think cinematography is. Have you noticed that?
Oh, totally. Yeah.
Yeah. It's where it's like they don't understand the entire picture is a craft. They don't get that. It's funny.
Look, I totally appreciate somebody's, some member of the public's right to buy one of my movies off Amazon on DVD, and then to watch it, and then to go on to Amazon and say, I didn't like it, I hated it. I respect that.
They bought it.
Yeah, you are the customer. You did pay for it. If you don't like it, you don't like it. Some people make, obviously a lot of stupid comments, a lot of comments that are often error in fact that make me laugh. But, for the most part, the people that buy my movies are the kind of people that like the genre. Otherwise, they wouldn't buy it.
Right.
So for the most part, people are pretty, generous. For the most part, you're obviously you can't be a filmmaker and say, well, I want to please everybody. That's just impossible.
There's definitely audiences. Yeah, no. I'm trying to think. Well, I mean, there's been a very few select movies in history that have actually accomplished in pleasing everyone.
There are people that hate the Sound of Music. How can you hate the Sound of Music?
Well, no, I would say I'd say 99% is everyone. So if we go off of that, so maybe like do you like Forrest Gump?
I do, yeah.
Yeah, so like I do too, but like I have friends who are, they're real wise guys, and they're like, oh no, that movie sucks, but they only hate it because they played it in high school, and so they're like, oh well, I hate it because and I have, but have you ever seen the movie Miracle, the hockey movie?
Yeah, totally. Yeah,
yeah, no, I had to watch that 5 times in high school. I hate that movie. But the differential is as someone who is a part of the production process, I can understand the difference between hating something and understanding hating something and something not having good production. And a film like Miracle obviously has good production, for however much. The thing I always say is like I watched have you ever seen the Twilight franchise?
I saw the first film. Yeah, didn't watch the others.
Okay, so the very interesting thing was I was watching Twilight with a couple friends because I just wanted to see it because it was a cultural phenomenon for a lot of teenagers, and I'm watching it and my friends are on and they're just trying to think of something good to say, and they're like, oh, the cinematography is actually pretty good in this, and there's the stigma of Twilight being a terrible movie, and then I'm just like, well, for $50 million it better have good cinematography. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so a lot of people don't understand, and then these guys, the cynical, 19 to 35, like you stated, they try making their own movie, and they fall short on so many factors, including the acting and the screenwriting, which is the only things that they ever comment on. It's amazing how someone could then make a movie and then not be completely humbled by that. And so, there's some crazy people out there, but no, it's just when one teaches cinematography and they go into all these like details of dynamic range, coloring, you got to do this, you got to do that, tracks, dolly, Alexa, all that stuff. And then the person who's learning will ask, well, is this what I have to do to make good cinematography in the industry? And then it's like, no, this is what you have to do to make cinematography in the industry, period. And so, and even a film like yours, which is on what would you say your budgets are, like $5 million?
No, more like 1.5.
Okay, 1.5. So even 1.5, you still have to show up. You can't take a shot off, right? And so that's what a lot of these guys who learn through digital. I'm a supporter of digital, but a lot of these guys who learn through digital, they don't grasp that appreciation, especially in sound. Their sound is always bad. So it's I mean, is there anything that you want to say out there to the 19 to 35-year-old cynical movie reviewer?
If you can't say something nice, don't say something.
No, come on. I say the opposite. If you have something mean to say it every goddamn day.
I would say to that group, give Phoenix Wilder a chance.
Oh yeah. And buy it twice. Buy it twice before you watch it once. So like go to the theater, pay for the ticket, walk out, and then pay for the ticket again, and then watch it. Yeah, that's probably the best marketing advice we could give here.
Give it a chance. Let the story wash over you. You still may hate it, but at least give it a shot.
Someone can hate something. That doesn't mean that something is objectively bad.
No, not at all. I mean, there's a lot of product out there that I obviously don't, that I obviously don't like and don't watch, and there's. My wife doesn't understand why I watch the same movies over and over and over and over and over again. I was watching Lawrence of Arabia on TV the other night for probably the 400th time. And she walked in and instantly recognized it. She hates it. She said, I can't believe you're watching that again. And she always says the same thing. I don't understand this movie. Who's fighting who and why? And I was saying, it's not everybody's cup of tea. I'll tell you, I love The Black Stallion. I love that movie with all my heart. And there's a 30-minute segment in there where no dialogue is spoken.
Oh, God. I couldn't deal with that.
There's not one word. It's just the boy and the horse on an island. And Carol Ballard chose to do it all, with no talking. I think it's fantastic, but, I've got, even my teenagers and my young boy here, they're like, oh, this is boring. When's someone going to say something? Which I think is kind of tragic, but... there's no way that every movie is for everybody. Everybody has a favorite film. So I think that, the 1977 Star Wars is by far the best. The rest are all utter complete garbage.
Whoa, garbage. We just said that you can't say this.
Well, I'm saying it.
Okay, well, I mean, you're an entertainer. You're trying to make the people happy.
Garbage would be a strong word. Well, okay, not for Jar Jar.
No, say you hate it. Say you're like, well, I like this one. I hate all the others. That's what I do.
That's pretty accurate. I mean, I'm okay. We could certainly use the term garbage when it comes to Jar Jar Binks. I think that's fair.
No, Jar Jar Binks is like the best character. You got to. Well, again, we're of two different eras. And so, I wasn't alive when original Star Wars was out, and this new Star Wars, The Force Awakens, that stuff, I don't care for that because I'm not like 10 anymore. And so, but Jar Jar Binks, that's my generation's, like, that's the guy, And so, I'm not gonna say, old or new the Star Wars prequels, that's my era stuff. And it seems like on the internet there is a huge movement to hate those movies,
and rightly so.
No, I would say put it this way: do I sit down and watch those movies and love them? No, but there's something from a cultural standpoint. There are so many Burger King and Pepsi advertisements that the Star Wars prequel stuff on them, where it's like there's a fondness for the movies, but not watching the movies. Yeah. Right. And so, but also for me, it's important because now we would have obviously had digital cinematography without the Star Wars prequels.
Yeah.
But those moved it along fast.
They did. I guess I just hold the 1977 Star Wars. It's in like such high regard.
But you don't like Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi.
No.
See, that's a very rare opinion. I don't hear that very often, because usually I hear people who like old Star Wars, they're on the Empire Strikes Back. They always say that one's the best one.
Well, let me tell you how much I like the 1977 Star Wars. I happen to own an original 1977 Star Wars 26x40 release poster that was used in the release, and it is the only poster in the world that has been signed by the entire cast and George Lucas and James Earl Jones in addition.
Well, I thought you were going to say the whole movie on 35.
No.
Do you know what that goes for?
The poster? I don't know.
No. The 35 the whole feature on 35.
Probably a good chunk today. Yeah.
It's only like I heard it was only like 4,000.
Really?
Yeah.
That seems low.
Yeah. No. There's people who are listening like 4,000. No, I was There's a lot of guys who don't know. There was a guy trying to sell. How old are your kids, if I can ask?
They're 14 and 11.
Okay, so they're into Pokemon.
No, YouTubers.
Oh, Jesus Christ, that's worse. Those guys are insane. Jeez. Anyway, there's some nut job from like the Netherlands. They're selling the first Pokemon movie, half of the first Pokemon movie on 35 for $13,000. No biters at all.
Yeah.
But anyway, so do you ever let me ask this, so you as a feature filmmaker who has who's making some money doing this, have you ever elected to have your own features printed on 35 for your own personal collection?
No, there's no way I could justify a budgetary expense like that.
How much is that?
About $50,000 last time I checked.
Yeah, that's like a Ferrari.
Yeah. I just, it's not going to get me anything from a commercial standpoint, and not a budget expense that I would ever, allocate for.
Well, let me ask this: Would you say that feature filmmaking has gotten you somewhat well off?
I live well.
Okay. So what I gotta ask is, what would you say is your biggest for fun purchase that's been a result of this filmmaking career?
Powerboat. One of the very rare Canadian filmmakers that has a powerboat.
What'd that run you?
Multi tens of thousands. It was a pretty nice one.
Okay, that's pretty good.
it can be a good career. Our family's leaving Saturday on a cruise in the Caribbean to Honduras, Belize, and Mexico.
Good. Well, I mean, don't get killed there, you know.
No.
Okay.
Right. I've been I've lived I've been to many African nations and lived like 7 months of my life so far in South Africa, one of the most crime-ridden nations on earth. I'm still alive.
Oh yeah, I've heard South Africa's rough.
So if you're going to be a commercial filmmaker, and if you can, one key is to always make sure you're carving out proper fees for yourself in every budget, and to be prolific and to always keep stuff moving in, coming up in production. And I use the George Lucas technique, which is I own the copyright to my work.
Good.
For better or for worse, and if it does extraordinarily well, then I will benefit. And if it does extraordinarily badly, then I guess we're on to the next one.
For worse.
For worse. You can certainly make a living. You can certainly have a family. I have a nice house. We're not millionaires yet.
Well, it's kind of weird that this age of inflation, being a millionaire, you're not even you're not even that rich anymore. It's kind of weird.
There's I guess I'll have to shoot for being at least 10 million or something like that. So at least I stand out. But I mean, it is obviously from a financial point of view for most people a complete train wreck to have a career in film and try and live.
I mean, I'm not even close to making six figures, but when I started making money off of production and stuff, I started splurging immediately. That's why I had. But I guess I'm a little. Oh God, I bought every Jordan shoe, which none of this equal. I got an autographed Christina Aguilera trading card for like $800. I was going in, man. I
tell people all the time, for DPs who aren't working or are struggling, I say, well, look at my friend Stephen Whitehead. Look at his credits on IMDb. He shoots my films and he works nonstop. He turns work away. He absolutely works nonstop. He is always in demand, always. The day after we shut down my shoot in South Africa, he was on a plane for Qatar to work on a series for 5 weeks in the desert, again, making a very substantial amount of money on it, shooting a Netflix series, and then from that to his next job, and then to the next job and the next job, and he works nonstop. And so for those people that say, well, I can't make it, I can't get work, I say, well, Steve is doing something right, and you obviously don't have the knack that he's, for whatever he's doing. Somehow he works nonstop.
Yeah, no, I will say it's extremely rare when you see someone with legitimate work ethic and legitimate talent not at least making a living. It's very rare that I see that. Yeah. I don't know if it's the same for you. I don't know if you've ever met anyone with great talent and great work ethic who wasn't at least making something.
Very rare.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. Very rare. And now I think that, hard work and determination can make up for the absence of a lot of talent. But no amount of talent can ever make up for the absence of hard work and determination. That is always the rule in every career. It doesn't matter if you're going to be a doctor, lawyer, teacher, candlestick maker. That is always going to be the rule. Right. So I'm only on set once every 2 to 3 years. The time in between is, getting projects finished, getting them into the market, getting them distributed, ramping up the next one.
Well, that's good, and hopefully we'll be seeing next time we talk to you, we'll be promoting Against the Wild 5. You'll be cranking them out.
No, I'm moving on. I'm moving on to another passion project, Ocean Odyssey.
More animals?
No, well, there will be animals in it, but they won't be, trained animals part of the movie.
Okay, good.
So that's going to be my largest production budget to date on that project. But again, probably won't, realistically won't start actual shooting until 2019. It's going to be certainly a challenge, but that's the project that I'm ramping up right now and, pushing forward as my next project. So in the meantime, are we wrapping up or?
Yeah, we're winding down here.
Okay. In the meantime, hopefully everybody can get out to a theater near you on April 16th and watch Phoenix Wilder. It's an added value feature. So it comes with a 10-minute pre-show that I have put together about elephants, a factual sort of mini documentary about elephants.
Edutainment.
Entertainment, yeah. And then at the end, you're going to see a 2.5-minute, 3-minute interview with Elizabeth Hurley of her talking about her passion for wildlife conservation for elephants. And after her, you will be watching a 5-minute interview with the internationally world-renowned conservationist Dr. Richard Leakey, who is getting up there now in years, still sharp as a tack, though. He has one of the most amazing life stories of anyone around. Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt were trying to make the movie of his life, which was going to deal heavily with elephant poaching and elephant conservation. I'm very proud to say that I'm coming to the market with the first narrative feature film on elephant poaching. Whatever the stars do after this, they are merely following in my footsteps.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, you got to plant those flags, man. Well,
yeah.
What website can people go to see if it's playing in a theater near them?
Just go to phoenixwilder.com, and as soon as they get there, it says, buy tickets or find a theater. As soon as you click that, it will take you to the your zip code search. Just type in your zip code, and it'll display all the theaters around you, and I absolutely guarantee it's going to be close to you. It's in 726 locations.
What do you got to do to make that happen? Is it?
We should have started that discussion at the beginning.
Okay. All right, let's. That's another time. That's for Ocean Odyssey when we do that. All right. Well, Richard Boddington, filmmaker extraordinaire, feature filmmaker, veteran feature filmmaker, accomplished industry man. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for sharing the knowledge. Thank you for your generosity of being with us this. What is this? A Thursday night. Thursday. Days are blending together. I'm dying. Okay, so. Thanks for coming on with us.
Thank you so much for having me on. It was an absolute pleasure.
All right, thanks. I'll see you later on. Maybe
okay.
Later this year. Who knows?
Okay, thanks a lot.